Hi students, right now I'm looking at the back side of the mountains and I'm sorry, not the practicing molar mass handout. So there's sort of three sections. The first section asks you to convert from grams to moles. The second section from moles to grams. And the third one from moles to atoms and molecules. So we'll look at all three of these sections. Okay. You'll want to have your periodic table and a calculator handy to help you do these problems. So the first one talks about titanium, and you have 4.76 grams, and it asks you how many moles. So there's sort of two things you need to do. You need to look at the periodic table, and then you need to do the calculation. So when I look at my periodic table, I find that 1 mole of titanium weighs 47.87 grams. Okay, I just looked up the square for titanium and I got that number. Now I'm ready to set up my calculation. So I start with the number given in the problem and put it over 1. Remember, I can divide any number by 1 without changing it, so I haven't changed this number at all. Then I'm going to multiply by a fraction. Okay, so to cancel out my grams, I'm going to need to put grams in the bottom. Okay, and in the top, moles. I knew I wanted moles in the top because I need to end with moles. So my grams will cancel, and the only units I have left over are moles. Okay, now I'm ready for my numbers. So grams is on the bottom, and I see that grams goes with this 47.87. And with the mole goes the 1 on the top. All right, I'm ready to do my math with my calculator. So I multiply straight across. All right, and my units are moles. So when you plug that into your calculator, you should get your answer. You should get a number about 0.9, 0.09, 0.1. That's about the number you should get. Second one is set up very similarly. So 1 mole of lithium weighs 6.94 grams. Grams in the bottom, moles in the top. All right, and now you're ready to get out your calculator. Grams will cancel. Okay. So you set up 3 and 4 the exact same way. If you can't do it after these two examples, you should come see me sometime before school or after school to get some extra help. So I'm going to move down to the bottom part. This is a little bit different. So instead of starting with grams going to moles, I'm starting with moles going to grams. So I'll still need to look at my periodic table. Okay. So 1 mole calcium chloride weighs 100.09 grams. So I just got that. I added up calcium plus carbon plus 3 times oxygen and came up with this 100.09. Okay, I start with the number in the problem and I put it over 1. This time I need to cancel the moles. So I'm going to put them in the bottom so that they cancel out. And I want to end with grams, so grams are going to go in the top. Now I look over to the side. The 1 goes with the mole, and the 100.09 goes with the grams. Now you're ready multiply straight across, and you should get your answer. Think about those units. What units is it going to be in? Okay. The last one is the same as the one above it. However, there's a little trick, and I don't want you to get caught up. You see those parentheses there? I'm sure you noticed them. Don't let them scare you. All that means is that I have 3 of everything that's in the parentheses. So another way to write this would be to write out NH4 3 times. Okay, so I'm sure you can solve this one. Once again, if you can't, come see me in person. The last 3 are the trickiest. So I know a lot of people had trouble with these when they tried them in class. I'll go over them now and hopefully they'll be clearer. Okay, so for these problems, it asks you about atoms and it asks you about moles. Okay, there's nothing about mass, nothing about weight, so you're not going to need your periodic table at all. What you will need is this piece of information from handout 17. Okay, handout 17, the mole concept. If you still have trouble with this after I go over, I recommend you look at handout 17. So the piece of information you need is this. Oops, sorry. One mole is 6.02 times 10 to the 23 items of whatever I'm interested in. Okay, so in this case, for question 1, I'm interested in atoms, and I'm interested in atoms of tungsten. So if I have 1 mole of tungsten, I have 6.02 times 10 to the 23 atoms. That's just the definition of a mole. Okay, if you looked at your periodic table, you'd be looking up the weight of those atoms. Doesn't ask me anything about their weight though, it just asks me how many. Okay, for the next one, instead of just an element, we're talking about a compound here, a molecule. So how many molecules are there in 1 mole of water? Well, if I have 1 water, okay, if I were just to count them up, 1 water, 2 water, 3 water, okay, and I had to count all the way to 1 mole, I'd count 6.02 times 10 to the 23 of them. Okay, if I just had to count them 1, 2, 3, da 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 da. All right. The last one is a little bit tricky. Okay, it asks me for number of atoms, how many atoms, and it gives me in 1 mole of a molecule. So I drew these pictures up here on purpose. In 1 water, there are 1, 2, 3 atoms. So in 1 molecule, there are 3 atoms. Okay? So if I have 1 molecule, I have 3 atoms. If I have 2 molecules, I have 6. And if I have 3 molecules, I have 9 atoms. So I just take the number of molecules I have and multiply by 3. So we know from the previous question, this is the number of molecules we have. And to find the number of atoms, I'm going to multiply by 3. When I do that, I know you may have trouble with punching it into your calculator. Remember to use that EE button or that EXP button. You should come up with something about 1.8 times 10 to the 24. I hope this was helpful. Once again, come see me in class if you're still struggling.